So I just hit live. Oh, and I need to go where the internet. Somehow, if I stand, maybe it's because when I stand next to Betty. This is Arusha from Push, a Cure fan documentary, and I'm in Brighton, getting ready to go to Glasgow very soon. But who are you, and where are you?
I'm Bridget. Right now, I'm in a suburb outside of Chicago, also getting ready to go to Glasgow to see The Cure.
You are.
I am.
Is this your
Isn't
first
that
time seeing
amazing?
The Cure?
No, it's not. um, this has been a passion of mine since the late 90s, where I happen to just follow the band around. Although this trip is different because I haven't been to Europe or the UK to see them. I've only kind of been on North America to see them.
Okay, so let's slow down for a second. So you started seeing him in the 90s? I thought you saw him in 1992.
I did. I saw them in '92 in Detroit. Both shows that were filmed there. I didn't do any other traveling. I was only, I think, like 16 at the time, so wasn't really feasible at that point. And then in '96, I went and saw them in Detroit, and then from there we went to several shows on that tour.
And who's we, and how did you figure out that you could even go to more than one show?
So way back when there was Cure News and they had Cure Friends, and you could write to people who also liked the Cure. So I became pen pals with two people who lived in Colorado, and we made plans for them to come to Detroit to see the shows in '96. And we were going to see the Detroit show and the Chicago show. And at the Detroit show, we ended up meeting Roger and deciding that we were going to go to a few other shows that were feasible in between Detroit and Chicago. So we went to the Cleveland and Columbus show that year, and then from Chicago we went up to Milwaukee.
Right, and just to give like a whirlwind summary of that summer in 1996 to now, like why are you going again? Have you made friends? Like what is this experience for you?
So in '96, when we went to Milwaukee, I met another Cure fan there, and she ended up coming on to our little group, and we toured more on the tour in '96. And from there, we've kind of just gone to a bunch of different shows together. So it just seemed kind of like the natural thing for us to reunite for this European tour and see a bunch of our friends who we haven't seen in a really long time, in just another part of the world.
And where are you from again?
I'm originally from the Detroit area, but I live in Florida now.
Have you been to the UK before?
I have not. So ever since I was 12 and started liking the Cure, I have wanted to go to England and just see where they're from or whatever. So why do I
Why
look
was it
international
important
when
to
I
see
talk
where
to
they're?
you?
Wait. Hold on. Let's back up for a second. Because this is our time before the internet. Why was it important to see where the Cure were from?
I think it was because I had like all these pictures and posters on the wall of this band that I adored, and my room was pretty much like wall to wall Cure everything. And immersing myself in their culture and seeing where they're from and where the music started was somehow important to me. I don't really know why it was that important back then, but it's something that I've always wanted to do, and I just never had the means to do it. I had children really young and stuff, so that kind of prohibited me from traveling a lot. So now they're grown and I have the means to be able to do it. So this is just something that I've been wanting to do for a really long time.
Do you think you're gonna enjoy the music?
I definitely will enjoy the music, and I'm excited to see what fans are like in the UK as opposed to what fans are like here. I've heard that it's kind of a different atmosphere, so I'm excited to see that. I'm definitely looking at this trip through a different lens at this point. It's The Cure has been a backdrop of a lot of my traveling for a long time, and this time I think because I've wanted to go to Europe and go to England and everything so bad that The Cure is just a small component of everything that I'm going to be doing while I'm over there.
Do you know who I am?
I do.
So I'm joking with Bridget because we met in 1997 and we've had a lot of adventures together. And every once in a while, she's like, "Wait, when did we meet? Like, wait, what? Wait,
I was
were you on the Dream Tour? Were you in 2004?"
I don't know, was I there? Not sure. Was I there?
Because
Yeah, I think I went to a couple of shows.
yeah, I think what's really important in the growing process, like growing for me, this tour is like I'm realizing like I grew up with them and now I'm growing old with them.
Hmm.
But when I say with them, it's not like the with them that the 15-year-old me would die for. It's a bigger, it's an entity bigger than the concerts, the friends, the travel. It's all of it, right?
Absolutely. And that's kind of what I was trying to convey, is looking at it through a different lens. Like prior to this tour, it was always the chase of, getting to the shows, waiting for the bus, and now we're older and a little more wiser, and
Just a little bit.
yeah. And the friendships and hanging out and things like that seem more important to me than chasing the bus around a city at 2 a.m. because we want to catch a glimpse of, them for 2 seconds or whatever, and then be let down when, they just run into the hotel and don't even acknowledge that we're standing there.
All right, but I'm going to out you on a very special, unique Bridget moment.
Here we go.
Because if somebody, a younger fan, heard this story, well, there's two. I'm gonna, and you know which ones they are. One of them has to do with, actually, they might be from the same night. I don't know. If you don't remember, the person in the room with you does. One of them has to do with a request that you made to Robert Smith about a certain song on a certain day. Can you tell us
Yes.
about that?
Yeah, so we were in New Orleans. We were in Houston. My brain, as I've gotten older, I can't remember things, and so we were in Houston, and we were at the hotel. And back then, I was a lot more indifferent about whether they cared if I was bothering them or not. I just would go up to them randomly and think, if they say no, whatever. So I just went up to Robert and told him that it was my birthday, and would he play a song for me? So he asked what song I wanted to hear, and I said Three Imaginary Boys. So on his hand, he wrote 3IB. And that was pretty much the gist of our conversation. And then that night at the show, he said happy birthday and played the song. And it was probably one of the coolest things ever.
I think he said this is for Bridget.
Yeah, he did. We have the audio of it,
And
and
I thought it was the
because I had
13th, or
slowed
was
the
that?
camera. What's that?
I thought it was the 13th.
Well, that was the other. That was when we were in New Orleans, and
Oh, that was another time you got a request to
yeah,
Robert. Okay,
yeah.
continue.
I guess I need to. I guess I need to keep on that trend. What do we want to hear? Let us
We,
know.
accuracy or the kiss? Yeah, only Bridget has these superpowers.
Yeah. So yeah, we were outside the hotel before the show in New Orleans, and I really don't remember how it came to be where we were talking about the 13th, but I think we said like that was the only song that we hadn't heard on that album.
Mm.
And he's like, oh, well, maybe we'll test out and sound check. And I said, well, you should have us there to be able to let you know whether, it sounds good or not. And so he's like, you want to come to sound check? Like we wouldn't want to go. And so they made arrangements. I think they told us just follow the bus to the venue and wait, and they'll escort us in. And sure enough, that's what happened. And we had this private concert of a few songs, one being the 13th, which they ended up playing that night. And I don't think that song really has been on their rotation much since then. They don't play it.
No, and I wish they would because it feels good. But
And
this,
I
so
like
that was New
okay.
Orleans, right?
That was New Orleans, 96. Yeah,
Which
that was.
which leads into the second big reveal of a very special night that you all rolled into later.
Yeah, so after that show, we went to a club that was, I believe, owned by Trent Reznor, and he was there, and the Cure were all there, and we got to see Trent and Robert meet for the first time. I believe that was the first time they were meeting. It was a very cool encounter that they had, and someone snapped a picture of it in our group.
Yeah, I remember you guys saying because I wasn't there, and I don't think Trent owned it. I think maybe some other gothy goth did, because it was like Robert was saying he wanted to meet him, and the other was saying they wanted to meet them. And what I remember is you guys saying that like Trent was being kind of awkward and like knocking like chairs around and stuff. Like there was a little bit of a before time where he was just this like guy on the wall. Do you remember any of that?
I do, because I went up and talked to him when he was standing against the wall. I just went up to him, and back then, I guess I had this idea that if I didn't act like they were someone I was starstruck by and just kind of acted like they were just a normal person, that maybe it would be a little bit easier for me to have a conversation with them. So instead of talking about like, oh, why'd you write that song, or what does such and such song mean, I'd just ask him about, I think I went up to him and asked him about the hat that he was wearing or something. And
That's
we had
great.
just a brief conversation, but it's always been fun, like going to shows and seeing other fans there that are musicians or celebrities. It's interesting. We've seen a lot of different people at different times.
Well, now I think you're going to get the parents and who have brought their kids and the kids who are there without their parents, and it's really for me it's been a joy to see the generations, and
Yeah, I mean, I must have done something wrong in my parenting because none of my children care about the Cure. I did not raise them right in that regard.
well, I mean for our generation that's normal, right? But yeah, I look forward to meeting up with you. Is there anything like any expectations, any hopes and dreams that you
Um,
have?
I I don't really have any expectations. I'm trying to keep everything pretty low, and I hope that I get to hear some of the songs that are different than what have been playing. But I love Disintegration. That's one of my favorite songs, so I'll be happy to hear that. Um, Maybe we can rehash Three Imaginary Boys again. I don't know. I'd have to get with Robert and see. Maybe we can have a little sit down and talk about the set list.
I think you should. I really do. I really do.
But
I, I,
I'm excited
I'm
to see you.
I'm excited to see you too, and it'll be in Glasgow. So thank you so much for your time today, Bridget
You're
from
welcome
Florida.
anytime.
I'll see you in the car.
Yes, I will.
Bye
Bye. Love you.
bye.